let's get started with production chains as a whole. So Stefan and myself, we've already been harvesting some wheat before, and the nice thing is in previous games you were able to use the wheat just to like basically sell it directly, and now with production chains there's this whole new level of gameplay that's introduced to the game. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit about what can we do now with this wheat and with the new production chain system?
Yeah, here now, for example, we have on our new map, we have a grain mill, and before we would just come here and sell the wheat and we would get money for it directly. But now you have the option to deliver it and get flour produced by the grain mill, which you then can use for other products. So that's the chain element, so you don't just sell your goods, but take one good and produce it to a different product, and then can use that to produce more goods or sell these products.
And that's the nice thing about the production chain system with the maps that we launch with the US map here. We have the possibility either to basically purchase the pre-existing ones, because there are some buildings, production chain buildings that are basically pre-placed in the map, or of course you can also place them yourselves, where if you purchase some land, for example, just create it, paint it with our landscaping mode as you see fit, maybe place a few trees or fences there and just place your building right there, and you can use that as well. So we see Marius is already unloading some of our freshly harvested grain, and the mill is going to run on itself now. And we also have very nicely our audio guys worked on that. They have their own like idle sound and also like a working sound as well.
So as you can see now in the bottom corner, we have delivered our wheat to our grain mill, and it's now currently producing flour from it. And as you can see in a few seconds, we have produced enough flour to get a product from it. As you can see now,
there it is.
It produced enough to spawn a pellet, and we can now use this product to bring it, for example, to the bakery, which is a production point as well.
Yeah. So either if you only own the grain mill per se, you can then either sell it directly, because there are like a few other not production chains but like selling points on the map. I mean, we have, for example, supermarkets and things like that where you can sell the flour. I believe it's a supermarket and a few other places.
You have different options where you can sell your products, and depending on where you get the best price, you have to decide where you want to place it or produce it into other goods.
Now this is already very exciting. This is our production chain, basically the management menu of the flour mill you're currently at. So maybe you can show us a little bit of what do all these numbers and icons mean?
Yeah, it's still not finalized. We're going to work on it a bit more. But on the left, you have an overview over all your production points. And as we can see here, we have our grain mill, which we're currently at. And we have different productions for flour, mainly because we have different grains which can produce flour. Right, and you can turn on and off these productions individually. So right now we can turn on the grain again, because as you can see on the right, we have wheat in our storage.
Yeah. So these production chain buildings, they have their own like building storage. So if it's not currently being like used, you can also use them to basically store a little bit in there and prepare stuff. So because maybe we'll see it later with the bakery, there are some products that use different kind of ingredients. So you have to bring in one, and then of course it's not used up but stored, and then you can bring in the other missing ingredients as well.
In this example, in the grain mill, it's very simple. You only have one input and one output. But there are production points which use a lot of different inputs to produce even multiple outputs. And
do you know what the the one is with the most ingredients?
I think it will be the bakery. So we can see it in a second. And one thing you can do, if you don't want to transport the pellets for yourself, you can simply change the output mode for the product you produce. Right now you can see on the right it's set to storing, which means it stores the goods produced inside of the production point, and once fill level is reached, a pallet may be spawned, so you can move it yourself.
Okay.
But we can also change it to selling. So now everything which will be produced will be directly sold.
Okay. So if you're playing and you're like, I don't have time for this right now, I need to, I don't know, harvest another field or whatever, can't take care of the loading, it's going to do it automatically, basically.
And another option is to distribute it, and that's especially useful if you've got already multiple production points. And then the products will be moved to these production points automatically in a certain time interval.
So instead of selling them, we can just basically tell them to, if I have my bakery over here, sell it, bring it there, and keep going. Basically, just store it for the bakery for now, without you having to transport all of the goods.
Right. Of course, it'll cost a bit, so you have an incentive to actually do it yourself. But if you don't want to, you can say just deliver it, and it will be good.
All right.
And now let's see if we can find our bakery.
Our bakery, yeah.
We hop in here
So
again.
usually you would either use the new distribution method to bring it there directly, or of course then just transport the goods, load them onto a wagon and transport them to the bakery yourself.
Yeah. So like shown here, we loaded some of our flour onto a trailer and moved it to our bakery. And now we can check the bakery as well. You can access it via these triggers, or also in the in-game menu, so you don't have to actually walk there to manage it, but just can open the menu.
So if you're there, just walk up to it, directly trigger the menu to pop up.
I think it's a nice touch to have some physical triggers
as well. It's nice
to
have a little bit of interaction with the game world directly.
And it's not just all in a menu. So we are here now. And as you can see, our storage in the bottom right is empty, so we can't produce anything. And now for the part which I mentioned earlier, the bread is also simple. It just takes flour and produces bread. But the cake is a bit of a different level. So as
many
you can
different
see,
icons.
it takes flour, sugar, milk, eggs, butter, and strawberries to produce cakes. So if you want to have cakes, you have to really invest. And
I mean, those are like many different ingredients you get from many different sources of our game and the ways you can like play the game. But of course, the payback is going to be vastly increased if you set out to sell some cake.
So if you've got a production active and it cannot run because either you don't have the ingredients, like right now, or the output storage is full and you don't have space to place the products anywhere, you get a red indicator here, so you can just quickly check the menu and see if there are any productions that don't run.
So you immediately see where basically your, as the word is, a production chain. It's like a process, and you can immediately spot where's the bottleneck, what's halting me from producing further goods.
As you can see here, our grain mill is still running fine. You have wheat as an input and it outputs products if there's space for it, but our cake cannot be produced because we don't have any of the required inputs.
Yeah, I mean, those are already like a bunch of different ingredients, but with the whole production chain system as a whole, there's like a lot of different new, not fill types, but like these product types that are coming into the game with this new gameplay element being production chains. So as the main developer behind production chains as a whole, what would you say was like the most like the most difficult thing to bring it into the game? Was there anything that you guys stumbled upon, or something that you maybe didn't think about before initially when you worked on the concept?
Yeah, like with adding new stuff, one of the main concerns is always making it work on a larger scale. Like doing the first prototype is always okay, but then you have to think about how will it work in multiplayer. How will it work if people have 30 or 40 different production points. So we always have to build our features that they scale well.
Yeah.
And will work for every player.
And also something probably a lot of you players are wondering, like, how do the production chains come into play in multiplayer? Because in single player, you load up the map and you have the choice of either like placing them yourself or purchasing like a pre-existing production point, like we've seen with the sugar mill or maybe like the bakery. And how does it work in multiplayer with like different farms and stuff?
Yeah, each farm can still have their own production points.
Mm-hmm. So there can be different bakeries.
Yes.
For example.
But if you want to deliver to a different farm, you're gonna sell your goods there.
Okay.
So that's quiet. So you still have the option to sell your goods at other farms, but also can have your own products. So you're not limited in any ways that you would not have the option to get rid of your produced goods.
So, but what's really nice though then is saying we're playing in multiplayer and I place down a bakery, although I don't even have the equipment for harvesting wheat or whatever, and I don't have a flour mill, I still, by placing down this bakery and investing in it, am offering like another possible selling station to all the other players. And so it opens up different kinds of way these like our farms can interact with each other.
And of course, if you've got your chain going and you see, okay, there's a bottleneck here, maybe you can place a second grain mill, so you got more wheat or flour to use for your bakeries.
Yeah.
So it's a process of micromanagement. You have to see where do I have to invest more, or where's the problems in my system, where can I improve the overall throughput and gain more revenue.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like it's good if it was a good harvest, like a nice harvest. I have lots of wheat, then partly maybe my flour mill can only handle so much, and you can always sell any excess goods you might have either to other players or of course to other locations in the game world.
With the aspect of the limited storage, you are inclined to use more different stations or store your wheat in your silo.
Okay.
So you cannot just dump like 500,000 liters of wheat at one point, so you have to think a bit more and have to store it and maybe sell it at different stations.
Okay. And of course it also ties in a little bit with our prices system, like the prices management. If there's one player, for example, that sells a lot of wheat, then that price might go down after a while, and you might sit on it if you don't want to get rid of it immediately, wait for a better price. Then of course you have to think about, where am I going to store stuff or am I going to invest maybe in a like bakery to produce bread and keep that price going and stuff like this. So the micromanagement aspect, I think, is something that's going to be very, very cool for players out there, and just in general, even those that maybe focus more on trying to kind of like automate their farm. People that like to play with the AI helper, for example, they can let the AI worker do his or her job, and then just they themselves focus on walking around, transporting the goods that come out to the different production chains. I think the management part might be something that maybe like was missing a little bit before in previous games, and here this is something that really like undermines this.
You have the option to do it, but you're not forced to do it. So
as with everything, of course,
it adds more without forcing players who don't want to use it to spend time with it.
Is there any kind of like favorite production point you yourself have, or like not a production point, but maybe like a branch, because there's like these different branches. You have like flour, of course, for the bakery and things. I know, for example, we haven't shown it today, but mine personally, for example, would be the greenhouses, because greenhouses themselves are also, they're not like they've been in previous farming simulator games where you just place them and get income, but now you can actually use them and they tie into the production chain system. So is there anything in that regard that you would?
Yeah, the greenhouses are pretty cool because we have now the plants which differ based on which you actually grow, and some other production points have some cool animations to them, and we try to make them visually appealing as well. So like here the bakery where we added some details in the house and around it, so it looks more authentic.
And it kind of fits into like the production chains, all of them, they fit like perfectly into the game world and the design of the maps as a whole. I mean, the nice thing also is the production chains give players a bit of choice, just because for example, this is the actually the European bakery. It has like this European design, but we're playing on the US map. So, but we just thought, you know what, this looked nicer. We're just gonna put this here, right, on this little cozy area of the game, and that's like the nice thing. I also think for players everywhere, you always have the choice to just grow your farm. Not only the farm, but now with production chains, grow it even further, just as you see fit, basically.
Yeah, for example, if you don't like where the bakery is compared to your grain mill and the distance is too far, you just can say, okay, I'm gonna buy an own bakery and place it nearer to it. So it's easier for me to transport the goods. Or if your big wheat field is far away from the grain mill, just place your own grain mill right next to the wheat field.
Optimize.
Just see what you need and customize the world in the way you like.
Yeah. All right, well, I think that's a nice, very finishing touch. So we're going to say goodbye to Marius for now. Thank you for being here with us today and giving us a little insight into the new production chains coming to Farming Simulator 22.
Anytime.